Greetings to all the whiskey lovers, subscribers, and of course you, my future subscriber. Tonight we are looking at the Raasay X Bordeaux red wine cask whiskey from the Isle of Raasay and bottled at 61.1% ABV, non-chill filtered. Not 100% sure about the coloring. It is a no age statement whiskey. Of course, I don't do a lot of digging. I don't want to taint my nosing and tasting notes. I don't want to reflect somebody else's notes. So if there's color added to it, I'm not 100% sure. No age statement. You can look for yourself. Quite a dark copper color coming out. Almost a light amber color. So there's quite a lot of color for a no age statement whiskey. Red wine cask, so it can be from a little bit of a wet cask, I'm not sure, but definitely there is a nice dark color to it. Not going to spend a lot of time on this one. Just want to let you also know, I poured this one maybe 15-20 minutes ago, and once I poured it, I gave it a little bit of a nose, and phew, it was a little bit of a shocker. Gave it to my son. I said, what do you get? And he pulled some real strange faces, and he just gave it back to me. He said, take this thing away from me. So there was a little bit of a shocker to the nose. So we'll see if there's a little bit of a difference now, a little bit of a spoiler. Anyway, on the nose, cheers. Now, this is a very strange whiskey. And I can tell you, when I first poured this one, it was disgusting. It was really harsh. It was bold. It was dark. It was in your face. It was really a little bit offensive for me. I had that stale, old car tire air. Something that I also pick up in some of the sherry cask finish, the Pedro Ximénez, some of them, the Millstone from the Dutch whiskey that I reviewed some time ago. That was one of the worst smelling whiskeys for me. But with a little bit of time in a glass, it does mellows out and that stinky air goes out. So for me on the nose, the first time, it was really not something that I enjoyed. Now this one, they do say it's unpeated. And for the love of me, when I poured this one, I thought they made a mistake. I was so convinced that I got a peated note out of the whiskey. That really disappeared quite fast. And then it left me with a little bit of a salted licorice note. Now, years ago, I saw this in the shop, and I love licorice, and I thought this will be a good combination. It was disgusting. I could not eat it. And that's the first thing that came to mind, is that salted licorice note, the black salted licorice, and I'm not a fan of that. So this already gave me a little bit of a gag reflex. It reminds me a little bit of some cough syrup, that more of a PX, XPX, Pedro Ximénez cask than red wine for me. If you would have given me, and this is in a blind, I would say Pedro Ximénez definitely. So there's definitely a sweetness, but then is that complete, funky, strange, a little bit offensive note that came out when I poured this one. I'm really struggling with this one. I'm struggling to find the right words for what do I pick up. There is a fruity component to it, but for me it's like a overripe fruit with a little bit of a rot already, a little bit of a fruit, and I don't even know which fruit it is, but it's got a fruity component that is gone a little bit too far. And probably something like a peach, maybe prunes, or a little bit of a date note coming out. Definitely some vanilla notes also appearing. A little bit of a dark honey note. But with this one, you really have to think about it. And it's not the same every time that you go back. With a little bit of time and a little bit of oxidization, it does change. Not always for the best. At least that stinky air is not so prevalent anymore. But this is really strange for me. A little shockingly strange for me. And I'm thinking €100 for a no age statement whiskey. While it is 61.1% ABV, I give you that. But I'm not sure if I want to invest so much time and effort in something that's a little bit offensive for me. And I'm sure there's a lot of people that are now shouting, screaming, "You're an idiot." Well, it's fine. For me, on the nose, not the best, but I must give it will change over time, and it's less offensive now. And it does mellows out. Now it's just a lot of more sweet, fruity notes coming out. And vanilla definitely. And then more into that raisins type of nose coming out. And still working towards the Pedro Jimenez type of notes. Now on the taste, well, I did bring some water. 61.1% ABV is quite a strong little boy. And so I'm just going to take a very small sip just to get the initial notes, and then I'm going to add a little bit of water. So cheers. Oh, wait. Oh. Now, this is nice. And I'm a little bit surprised that it's this nice. And it's lovely sweet. I did not expect that sweetness. I was looking for red wine from Bordeaux. I was thinking a little bit of a sour note. Not getting that. I was thinking, well, what type of cask? Not so sure. I was thinking maybe there's going to be a little bit of a tannin. No tannins in it. Lovely sweetness. A little bit of raisins coming out. The alcohol is quite hot at that 61%. It just like evaporates immediately in your mouth, leaving you with just a lovely sweetness. Let me give it one more try. Really sweet, actually. I was very surprised with this. That nice hotness of the alcohol. If you take a small sip, and I'm talking a couple of drops at a time, it doesn't overpower the senses. It just evaporates, and it leaves you with a lingering sweetness. Again, more Pedro Jimenez than something else for me. Quite lovely on the taste. So I'm going to add a little bit of water. What I do get, and I just want to make sure, the biggest note that I do pick up is nuts. Something like a almond or a pecan nuts. It's a lot of pecan nuts or pecan nut pie flavors, and it also like the sweetness of a pecan nut pie. Loads and loads of that vanilla pecan nut pie coming out, and I do love pecan nut pies. Really nice on the taste. Even on the nose is definitely changing. That little funky, strange notes are slowly disappearing. There is a little bit of a strangeness still there. Can't put my finger on it. That overripe fruit keeps on sticking it to the brain. But definitely, really pleasant on the taste. Now I'm just going to add a little bit of water. Well, on this one I got a nice spoon, maybe 5 milliliters. I've got probably about 20 mils left. I think I'm going to start with a full teaspoon of water. So that's about 5 mils. I think I'm going to add another one. So about 10 mils to this one. It is very strong on the taste. So with the water added, I'm just going to do the unralphie thing, do the shaky, just to get a little bit of a nice action going there. Wow. The nose completely changed. It's fruity, light, more of that Pedro Ximénez as well. There's a little more peachy type of nose, a little bit of a dried apricot, a little bit of a perfumey note. Wow, really nice on the nose with a little bit of water added. So on the taste of water, cheers. That's fantastic. Even with that 2 teaspoons of water in this one, it's still very strong on the taste. It's still warm, still disappears quite fast. Loads and loads of fruit. Again, a lot of Pedro Ximénez notes. Still cannot find red wine cask in it. Let me just try again. But lovely sweet. And still a little bit of a dried fruit, a little bit of a raisin notes, a vanilla note coming out, a little bit of a toffee note, or something like a caramel, or a little bit of a butterscotchy note coming out. Very pleasant with water. Do I like it? Well, this is a really strange one for me. There's something that really put me on a roller coaster ride. From the initial nose of it, I hated it. I couldn't stand it, but I gave it time. And I think sometimes we need to give a whiskey some time. And it changed for me for the better. That little funky note, there's a little bit of a funky note still in it, but much less. Well balanced, a lot of sweetness. I think if you're a lover of Pedro Ximénez finished whiskies, I think this one is definitely for you. Would recommend it. Give it a try. Like in my case, I paid €10.50 for the sample. Of course, it's quite a lot of money. But at €100 for a full bottle, 700 milliliters for €99 or €100, quite a lot of money. Would I buy it? I'm not so sure. Maybe as a novelty, when you pour just a small dram for your friends and just give them put them on that roller coaster to see what they think about it. There is another one. I bought another Raasay, and I think I will do that for the next review. I'm not 100% sure. I think it is about 46% ABV, and of course a little bit cheaper. So yeah, that's me on the Raasay, the Unpeated Bordeaux cask, red wine cask. What do you think? Is that something that you've tried? Is this something that you like? Did you also pick up that little funky notes, a little bit of a strange note, a little bit of an offensive note in the beginning, and then maybe later you change your mind and you think it's a good one? Or maybe you just stuck to it and said, oh hell no, I'm going to give this rather away, or it's going down the drain. You tell me in the comment. I'll respond to all comments. So thank you very much for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe, and I see you next time. Cheers.